Dude, so we got the Focus G, new case. I think it's gonna be a game changer, like at 50 bucks. Kyle, focus.
Isn't AMD Ryzen just the best?
Kyle, focus.
Oh, yeah, hold on, let me fix that. Here we go.
Damn it.
Over here, sexy.
Kyle, focus. Hmm?
Got it!
The Focus G from Fractal Design is a new budget case done right. Click the link in the description for more info.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is very exciting because we are continuing our PC of the Month series, which I have not been following through with for the last couple of months, and I apologize for that. But finally, it's back. Hopefully that's okay, even though it is towards the end of the month. This is going to be July's PC of the Month, just in time. But it's going to be a budget system. I'm going with a budget of $650 today because I think with the latest offerings from AMD, we can make that happen and still pack in quite a bit of horsepower. So let's take a look at the parts that we're rocking here. First and foremost, with this processor right here. This is the Ryzen 3 1300X. This is the higher of the two SKUs that are going to be released very soon. So this is still under embargo, actually, so I can't reveal all the juicy details, and I won't be able to show you guys any performance numbers until part 2 of this video, which is generally how how PC of the Month goes anyway. But this is a 1300X. It's a 4-core, not 8-thread chip because it does not feature SMT or simultaneous multi-threading like Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7 does. That being said, with 4 physical cores, we're actually doubling our core count over something like an Intel Core i3 that exists in the same price range. Now, I say that lightly because I don't really know what the official price is for this particular CPU. AMD has not given us that information yet, but based on the Ryzen 5 1400, which is their lowest end SKU in the Ryzen 5 class, which is going for $165-ish US right now, I would imagine that the 1300X is probably going to go for around $140 ballpark. So that's the price that I'm using to factor in the CPU into the build. Next up, we've got our motherboard here. This is the Asus Prime B350 Plus, a fantastic board that we've actually used before in the Spec Alpha build we did a month or two ago. It's a great value, in my opinion, for under 100 bucks, and it has plenty of connectivity, more than enough for a budget gaming system, including 4 DIMM slots. It's got USB 3, M.2 of course, so really solid AM4 offering there from Asus. We're going to be pairing that with this memory kit from G.Skill. This is Ripjaws V, very popular with Ryzen builds because it just works, assuming that you've got your proper BIOS updates and whatnot. But this is a 8GB kit. Now I know you guys are going to scream at me for buying a 2x4GB kit. However, I decided to go with a dual channel kit instead of just one 8GB stick for a couple reasons. First off, we have 4 DIMM slots on this motherboard, so there's nothing stopping us from popping in another 8GB, and that would give us 16. Of course, that would cap us. We wouldn't be able to add any more without fully removing the kit entirely, but I've actually seen some test results and whatnot testing single channel versus dual channel with Ryzen, and not only does frequency of your RAM affect performance when you're talking about AMD Ryzen, but apparently dual channel can also improve your performance quite a bit. So I'm actually going to do another video very soon comparing single channel and dual channel memory when it comes to Ryzen performance, so stay tuned for that. It should be pretty interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much why I've opted for a dual channel kit of smaller capacity per stick than one larger capacity stick. And again, we'll validate all that in a future video coming soon. I also forgot to mention that this kit is rated at 2800 megahertz. We're gonna have to get into the BIOS and see if we can actually overclock this at all, potentially to 2933 or even beyond that if possible, to again take advantage of that Infinity fabric that comes along with Ryzen and hopefully get some additional frames out of our gameplay. Next up, we've got our power supply, the VS400 from Corsair. This is a budget unit, of course. I think we got it for $35 or something like that. The cables are not pretty. by any means. They are ketchup and mustard. It's pretty gnarly. We're not going for aesthetics here, but it's still a pretty decent unit. At least it's not like got a hideous sticker on it or something like that. And it is 80+ certified, so that's nice. Our graphics card of choice is the EVGA GTX 1050 Ti 4GB model. I think this card's going to pair pretty nicely with the 1300X, and honestly, if you go right now with all the cryptocurrency mining craze going on, still, if you go anywhere above a GTX 1050 Ti, let's say a GTX 1060 and above, or even if you're dabbling in the RX 400 series from AMD, you're going to see ridiculously inflated prices. Granted, they might have come down a little bit because the price of the value of Ethereum has dropped down, for example, but still, it's pretty inflated. But as soon as you get to 1050 Ti and below, you're pretty much safe from those crazy inflated rates. So I wanted to just be able to get a card that was going to pair nicely with our CPU, and also something that we could get for more or less retail price. So obviously, we're going for 1080p gaming. That's what we're striving for. I've already done some testing on the 1050 Ti in the past, which has shown really good results at 1080p. You can get away with, high, even very high settings in some instances, depending on the game. So this should be pretty nice. Can't wait to test this overall. Storage includes this ADATA SP600 128 gig SSD. This is going to be for our boot drive and maybe some basic applications, web browser, and stuff like that. It's not the biggest drive. Again, this is a $650 rig, and I just think at that price point, you should be able to fit an SSD in there, even if it's not the biggest or highest capacity. 128 gigs should still be enough for Windows 10, and in all of our basic applications, you can always upgrade that later down the line. That's another thing I like about this system so far, is that it seems very upgradable. If you want to upgrade the 1300X to, say, a 1700 or maybe even an 1800X in the future, you can very easily do so, because we're still rocking the AM4 motherboard here, the same socket between all the Ryzen chips so far. That's really nice. Obviously, the graphics card would be really easy to swap out as well later down the line. So 128 gig SSD. We've also got a 2 terabyte. This is a Hitachi drive. I found this might have been a refurb, so sorry if it is, but I think we got this for like $25 or something like that for 2 terabytes, which is pretty killer. So that's obviously where all of our games and other big applications and files are going to go. And then finally, our case. This is, I think, sort of a new case from Thermaltake. This is the Core G21TG. The TG stands for tempered glass. This is only a $70 case. It's full ATX. It supports a lot of water cooling features, like looks like you've got some reservoir support in there. 360 rad at the front, I believe. Even though we don't have, again, going with this sort of theme of expandability and being able to upgrade in the future, if you wanted to, you could add some liquid cooling flare into this system, no problem with this particular case, even though it's still fairly budget oriented. Because honestly, the case is one of the most difficult and pain in the ass things to upgrade, because obviously you got to take everything out of your build and start from scratch, kind of. So from the looks of it, you get tempered glass on both sides, on the business end, on the back, and on the front end. Looks like you've got a power supply shroud as well, which should help with cable management, and kind of a nice mesh front. So hopefully lots of healthy intake from that end. But those are all the parts, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pretty simple... Oh, you know what? I completely forgot to mention, I'm sorry, the CPU cooler. You guys are probably wondering, those of you who aren't aware, the Ryzen 3, the 1300X, actually includes the Wraith Stealth cooler, which is very similar to this Wraith cooler. It's almost exactly the same. Actually, I think it's the same exact fan. The only difference being that the heatsink for the Stealth over there is actually, about half the height of this particular one, which came included with the Ryzen 5 series. So there's no RGB on it either, but that's okay. If you guys are at all interested in any of this stuff, I've left links to everything in the description below, maybe except for Ryzen 3 because it's not out yet. But other than that, let's go ahead and start building, and we'll circle back and I'll let you guys know how it went. Oh God, it's hideous. Just look at it. Look at it. I can't do it, guys. I can't do it. We're using extensions. All right, here she is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and boot her up for the very first time, assuming she works. Haha, looking good. Okay, great. Let's talk about some things here. First off, this card looks really tiny. It looks really small in this system. Actually, when I initially started planning the parts for this build, I had a micro ATX case from Thermaltake in mind, and the reps there convinced me to use the Core G21 instead because it's more current. It's a newer case, it's more relevant. I figured it'd be more relevant for you guys to show you a new case, so I went with this one instead, which happens to be ATX, but I did not change my choice of video card, so that's why we still have this tiny little guy here, and he looks really small in this cavernous interior that I was not at first anticipating. So hopefully that's okay. Now, you guys already saw me add in the sleeved extensions. These are all from Cable Mod. I just threw these in for the video's sake because they look nice. Ketchup and mustard sucks. And besides, the cables don't affect the in-game performance of a system in any way, shape, or form. So I figured, just throw them in because they look pretty cool. It matches definitely with the RAM and the red accents on the motherboard for sure. Then we've also got some things to say about the case here. Coming back to the G21, the Core G21. Thermaltake is under the impression that if you buy this chassis, you're probably going to buy an AIO along with it because it supports hella water cooling at the front, up to a 360, I believe. And because of that, they don't include any front intake fans. The only fan that comes included with the case is this rear 120. So bear that in mind if you're buying this chassis and you're not planning to water cool, then you might want to load up on some additional case fans. 120 or 140s are supported here at the front, especially if you're going to be installing hotter running components in here. We've got some pretty cool components here. The 1300X isn't going to get very hot. The 1050 Ti is not going to get very hot either. So I'm not too concerned at this point, but if I was running anything faster, like maybe a 1070 or something like that, I'd probably want to install at least 1 or 2 case fans at the front. So bear that in mind. Cable routing in the G21 was also pretty smooth. Obviously, you're not getting any sort of like cable routing grommets, which would have been super nice, but for 70 bucks, you can't really expect it too much. Instead, you get this sort of cable wall. Plus, you've got this really nice basement to store all of your excess cables, which really helps tidy up the back side of the case behind the motherboard tray. And there's a healthy number of tie-down points as well to make that all happen. You'll notice that the basement is sort of open right here. That's just because if you wanted to install like a reservoir or a pump, I would imagine, or maybe even a 120 fan. I don't really have much else to say about the build for now, other than I'm super excited to test out Ryzen 3. The 1300X here should be getting tested really soon, actually. Part 2 of this video. Hopefully it'll line up with the launch, with the Ryzen 3 launch. No promises on that, but it's coming soon. It's coming very soon, so stay tuned for that. And let me know what you think of the build so far. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. It ain't the most like high-end case. I think the front is probably the part I like the least aesthetically. But with the tempered glass on both sides, it definitely looks a lot more premium than the price you pay for it. So let me know what you think of the case as well, guys. That's going to do it for now. Be sure to toss me a like on the video if you enjoyed it. And before you go, feel free to check out Bitwit Ultra, my ad-free early access channel for $1.50 a month. The first 2 weeks are completely free and you can back out any friggin' time. As always, I'm Kyle with Bitwit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more tech stuff coming at you really soon, and I will see you all in the next video.